short. What is it? No, can you want me to turn this?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
So I'm going to ask you a set of questions for my history homework. Will you be able to answer the questions to the best of your ability?
Okay. What's the question?
First question. What is your full name and when and where were you born?
My full name is Darcy Handy, and I was born in September the 17th, 1929 in Kansas City, Missouri.
How old were you during World War II?
When it started, I was about 11 years old. I was about your age.
What were you doing before World War II, and were you scared?
I wasn't frightened because it was overseas. It wasn't here in the States, so it didn't really frighten me. I don't think I was afraid.
Was someone you cared
And before going to school, that was all. Say what? I didn't hear you.
Was someone you cared about into World War II?
No, all the people that was my age were too young to go to war.
Did World War II affect you and your family?
I didn't hear the question.
Did World War II affect you and your family?
I suppose it affected me indirectly. I was too young to remember much about it. There was rationing and there were things that were going on, but they didn't affect me as much as they did bigger families because I'm an only child.
What were rations? Can you
recall? Sugar, coffee, shoes. There were a lot of things that were rationed because they were in short supply.
What country were you in when World War II happened?
I was here in the United States.
Were you ever attacked by Germans or Nazis?
No, they didn't. There was no fighting here in the States that I know of.
Did you recall what your family or friends thought about Hitler?
I'm sure, as I said, I'm sure that it affected my parents and my relatives more than it did me because at that age, I don't think I was as aware of it. We didn't have the awareness of it that you all would have now because we didn't have television and so forth. It was in the newspapers and so forth. But other than talked about war bombs and those kinds of things, but I don't remember us ever having bought any war bombs. Maybe we couldn't afford it. I don't know.
To whom did you think would win World War II?
Well, I guess we just took it for granted that we would win.
How much did you think you understood about World War II?
How much did I
think you understood about World War II?
I guess I understood. I mean, I'm not saying we weren't as informed as you all, but it was a different type of informed. We didn't have the same technology that you all did. So other than what we read in the papers or what we talked about at school, like they had bomb shelter raids or whatever, but we weren't. I mean, I don't think we wouldn't have been as involved as you all are now because we didn't have all the technology that you have now.
Did you hate Germans and or Germany?
Did I do what?
Did you hate Germans and Germany?
I don't hate anybody. No, we didn't hate. We did. I mean, nowadays there's a lot of hate and anger for different groups, but hate wasn't part of our way of life at that point in time. At least I don't remember hating anybody, and I still don't.
Do you ever wish World War II didn't happen?
I wish no wars happened. I wish people could get along and the world was peaceful and people could get along, but that's unrealistic. I know that me not wanting there to be war is not going to make it go away, but I wish there were no wars because I wish people could get along, could negotiate and talk.
How did you feel about Franklin D. Roosevelt and Harry S. Truman? Were they good leaders?
Franklin Roosevelt died shortly after the war began, and Truman was from Missouri, and he kind of got in office because he was vice president. But I was neutral. I didn't have no strong feelings toward either one of them.
They good leaders?
I thought so. As a matter of fact, I think Truman was a better leader than he was given credit for. But and Roosevelt, at the time he was president, I was about your age, so I really did. We didn't have the media coverage and stuff that you all have now. So he was just president. That was all.
How do you feel about segregated armies? Did you have a particular reaction when Truman segregated the armies?
No, I don't remember having had a reaction, but I think if people are going to go fight for this country, they shouldn't have been in this segregation. And I think it's a good thing that he did desegregate. But at that point in time, I didn't know anyone that was in the military, and segregation at that point in time was just a way of life if you live where I did, but it wasn't as strong as it was in the South. But either way, if you're going to go fight for the country, they shouldn't have been in the segregation period.
Have you ever wished you lived in a different time period?
Yeah, but I can't tell you specifically what time period, like in history or whatever. I watch history channels and so forth, but I wish I lived in an area where there was peace and harmony and pretty much that was the life in the country. People got along and there wasn't any bickering and squabbling in the part of the country where I live, but I know that's not true everywhere. I just wish there were places where people could go and get along and enjoy life, and not all the bickering and squabbling that goes on nowadays. But as for a time period, I can't tell you a specific time period because I'd have to really think about what part of history that I'd want to go back to.
What were the best and toughest times for your family?
Oh, I imagine the toughest times, the sugar was scarce, and they even had shoes that were rationed. You could only get a certain number of pair of shoes per year. And I was pretty hard on shoes, but again, since I was an only child, I just used somebody else's coupon. And as for sugar, other than using it for coffee, sugar and coffee and stuff like that, other than that, those are things that you didn't have, I mean, you had to have the coupons for them, but again, we never was without the coupons.
How did you and your family react to those times?
How did we react to what?
How did you react to those times?
The bad time.
I don't know. I said we were glad when the war was over, and I can remember the celebrations. We had television by then, where you could see, some of the celebration or see it in the newspaper. But we were glad when the war was over. So,
Joe Louis beating Max Schmeling. Do you remember when Joe Louis beat Max Schmeling? Ask.
Yeah. You asked me. What else did you say? I didn't hear all of it.
Do you remember when Joe Louis beat Max Schmeling?
I remember when Joe Louis used to fight, as I say. We used to have a radio that was operated by a car battery, and everybody would tune in to listen to his fights on television as far as who he beat and whatever. I'm by sports now just like I was then, but we were always excited when he fought, and we was always excited when he won.
What were some of your favorite musicians of the 1940s?
Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Lionel Hampton, local musicians like Jamie Shan. Just music. I like music, period. But basically, I like saxophone music, instrumental saxophone best. But I like almost all music. We even listen to the Grand Ole Opry and Country Western on our car radio.
Well, that's all the questions. Thank you for answering.
All right. Well, thank you for interviewing me. I hope I've been helpful.
Thank you, Grandma.
I'm sitting with my chin hanging out here, so I don't know whether you got all of me on here or not. Did you get?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Then, well, I hope